Welcome to Serious Business on NDTV. 30 minutes of hard business news. One topic, one speaker, and a conversation that's relevant to you. I'm Manvi Sinha Dhillon. India is a nation of 1.4 billion people. 260 million are school-going children, the largest cohort anywhere in the world. 36 million are studying in colleges and universities at any given point in time. There are 100 million working professionals who are presumably always interested in upskilling and hence a higher education. Bricks and mortar educational institutes can't seem to keep up with the demand, so there's great interest in understanding how EdTech startups, apps, YouTube and artificial intelligence have disrupted education in India with lessons for the world. I've just laid out the central proposition in Arjun Mohan's book, Educating a Billion. Why are Arjun's insights relevant? Well, because he's played a central role in the Indian EdTech industry's formative years as Chief Business Officer at Think and Learn, or BYJU's, and then as Chief Executive Officer at UpGrad. He's now back at BYJU's in an advisory role with the founder when the EdTech major is navigating some challenges. Arjun Mohan, great to have you on NDTV's Serious Business.
Thank you so much. It's fantastic to be here talking to you, man. Thank you.
The temptation is to jump straight into the post-COVID challenges that India's EdTech majors are dealing with, including BYJU's. But let's resist that temptation for now. First, Arjun, lay out briefly, because this is a big subject, so that's why I'm saying briefly, India's education needs and explain why EdTech is a compelling proposition.
I think you beautifully put it already. One is the scale, the size of this market when it comes to education. 260 million students, 36 million students in colleges, 100 million working professionals who are looking for upskilling. This is the largest market for education in the world. And having said that, we are also a developing economy. We don't have enough resources to build universities and schools for everyone. Even if we do that, the number of passionate teachers who can be found to teach in these institutions are limited. EdTech is relevant, will stay relevant for an economy like this, for an ecosystem like this, because of the simple reason that there are only so many great teachers and so many institutional frameworks which can make a student a better person, better human being by teaching them the right thing. What EdTech have always tried to do is to use technology to really increase the scale of what a great teacher can get to, making education accessible, affordable, and most importantly, high quality. So that's where, in the larger frame of things, EdTech is important, starting with India to the entire globe.
Okay. When they are the best version of themselves, and I'm underlining that sentence because, you know, we've seen some trips and some gaps, but when they are the best version of themselves, what are some of the elements that Indian EdTechs offer that's just right for students? And now we're, you know, taking a deep dive into the product, the service offering as it stands today. We've established the big picture, but in terms of product and service, in the best circumstances, best version, walk us through what you've seen.
Yeah. So, the reason why I wrote this book, or the reason why this all came together, is also because of the transformation I have seen in education, in access in this country. I honestly believe that we are part of a generation which will work double hard to make this country and take it to the next level. Because we have seen both parts of this country. We have seen the pre-internet, pre-liberalization era where the resources were so restricted. At the time when I was preparing myself to do a JEE preparation, I had to go to a nearby metro. That's how it was, right? And that's the way it is. I have also seen in India where internet and mobile phones have revolutionized the access to information. We are the country with the lowest cost paid for data. And the impact of something like that and the technology we have in the lives of all of us and in the newer generation, which is coming later, is humongous. So I think our generation, and for me, I have seen this transition. And which is the reason why I really understand the relevance of using technology to really propagate information across. One of the reasons why BYJU's grew so well is because they really gave a tier 2 or tier 3 student access to the highest quality of education before anyone else could even talk about it. They never restricted them. They said that, okay, you have the best of the teachers and best of the quality. So I think that is the element which really comes in. Second, multiple things, right? Multiple product innovation, multiple aspects of it to ensure that the student continue to engage in there. Because that is very important. It's just not about dumping all the information out there, right? It is also about ensuring that the student is excited, entertained, feels that there is something in it, which finally picks up that interest in learning, which finally helps him or her to decide what do they want to do, and better citizens, as we rightly mentioned earlier, right? So I think this is what it really matters. It creates an environment where the best quality access in the best quality engagement way is provided through technology. I can go into the details, but I think that's for the longer talk. But yeah, this is how it works.
Well, it's certainly contained in the book, but you've addressed access, you've addressed interest and the fact that EdTechs keep monitoring that. I would say, as a parent myself, also looking for achievement, results.
Yes, absolutely.
How does that play out? So, I mean, is that as much a part of the proposition?
Absolutely. See, I didn't want to extend it out because the way I always see, and I like to see things as a mathematical function, I think that the outcome is a function of two things, engagement and interest. As long as you are able to engage the kid more and more, the kid starts spending more time into this and not on the entertainment aspects of it, the kid learns. I personally believe that it is all about the pace and the way you teach a person. Every kid today learns things in a different manner. Some of them learns very well by listening. There are auditory learners. Some of them learns really well by visualizing things. Some of them need them to practically try it out and to do that. The point is our education system always have been treating students, and this is again lack of resources, as a one-size-fits-all solution. What the technology has been able to uniquely do is that personalization element, understanding that every kid is special and hence trying to customize the product to give that engagement and interest. If you do that, then the outcomes is just a matter of time. You will get interest, you will move in the direction, which is why I didn't want to specifically tell outcomes, but that's how the philosophy and the formula works.
Well, I represent an average Indian parent. So, we've got an eye on the ball, which is outcomes. The flip side, Arjun, in practice and, operationally, if you had to, and be as honest as you can here, if you had to reflect on where and how some of the Indian EdTechs have let down their students, what are the top three things that come to mind? Because, anecdotally one gets to hear about it. Am I a subscriber? Do I have a first-hand experience? No, I don't. But I know that there has been some reneging on the promise.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. And I think this is more of an outcome of the pace of the industry. I think every industry, every new idea needs to be given time to scale, right? Need to grow at the pace which it is supposed to grow. Now, what happened with most of the internet ecosystem companies in India is that there was a lot of capital which allowed them to go really fast. Second, COVID made it the mainstream option, especially for when it comes to EdTech and education companies, right? As a result, I feel that these companies tried to move really fast, much faster than they could do. In my view, education takes time. I mean, the best successful coaching companies like an Akash or Ellen or a successful university, it takes tens of years to build it. Because you need to really understand how student responds to it, how can you give outcomes, learn from your mistake, it takes time. So I believe the reneging of the promise, and I don't want to ponder on what percentage and not talk about noise because that's another discussion altogether. I think the reneging of promise was more to do with this. I think it grew too fast. I think it tried to chew what it could, more than what it could digest. And as a result of which, it ended up reneging on the promises which were made. Frankly, as a person who is still deeply involved in this sector, who is still in conversation with most of these founders who are still going good and trying to fix things, I see a clear difference in the way they approach things now. I see the maturity coming in. I see them lot more student focused, lot more outcome focused, lot more engagement focused, with a thought process that let's do it the right way. We think we have enough resources, and good part about all this noise is that there is a lot of market acceptance today. You end up spending like decades and decades to get market acceptance. The good part about all this thing is that market has accepted it. There is a good number of students who have seen outcomes come out of it. So now it should be about working more on that and ensuring that no more negativities comes in. This is how I will put it.
Okay. So, in a way you preempted my next question, which was about asking you, why weren't these edtechs better prepared for the ups and downs, for macro forces like, real build-up of funding and then a real shrinkage of funding? But we're going to leave that for another day.
Yeah.
There is one question, though, that I have to ask you. We applaud the founders in the growth phase, and when the growth gets out of hand, my instinct, just as a layperson, is to say, well, perhaps it's overreach by founders once again.
Yeah.
If I said good governance, and you've already alluded to the fact that they chased perhaps growth at unacceptable speed, they weren't prepared. But if I said good governance has been an issue with some edtechs, how would you respond?
I am a person who likes to be as honest as possible. So I would say that a lot of companies, especially the startup ecosystem, right? What you should understand is that most of them are first-time entrepreneurs. They are first-generation entrepreneurs. A lot of people, this is the only job they have done in their life, soon after college. So obviously there are aspects of management and business which they were not aware about. And as you rightly said, right, growth phase, when everything was hunky-dory, it was like whoever advised them and whoever backed them, it was all about don't worry about anything else, it's growth at any cost. So I am not surprised. I think it is more about that, that whole cycle of learning things. If I had so much of capital and this was the first job I did, I'm sure that I would have also made these kind of mistakes. But having said that, governance flaws are something which everyone is trying to fix now, and thanks to also the investors, the whole narrative has changed now, which I think is positively helping the ecosystem, the whole startup ecosystem currently. So to answer your question straight, yes, I think there were some issues, but I think it was more because we were in exceptional times. COVID was the first time we were all at home. COVID was the first time such a generational shift happened so quickly, right? And hence I see that as an outcome of that. Now I see a completely different ecosystem.
And I want to talk to you about that. And, on TV, we always love quick checklists. So you've alluded to the fact that edtechs have evolved, are evolving. They're going to be better, stronger versions of themselves in their business management, but most importantly in their offering, because that's at the core of what they do. So if you had to sort of draw up a checklist of what they are doing differently right now, top 3 or 4 things, how would you respond?
Number 1 is customer focus. Today, almost all the energy goes into how well is the student getting getting outcomes out of this entire thing. Is the student really, the conversation has completely changed on how do I ensure that the student is using it? Should I even little bit do a forcing? Why do you think the whole idea of hybrid has come into the system? People have realized that online is great, but there are certain aspects where you have to get to the student, to the centers. And I think that concept is working really well. So number 1 I can see is complete focus on the customer. The customer who is into the system, and how do I make this customer successful? Okay. That's number 1. Number 2 trend is people have realized that there are certain things online does really well. There are certain things offline does really well. the market is now moving towards taking the best of both the worlds. And I think it also makes the companies a lot more sustainable. And finally, it is about building sustainable companies. No longer about growth at every cost. It's about building the right products, right organization for giving the right thing to the customer.
So distill everything that we've just talked about into some striking numbers. We established upfront the addressable opportunity for education in India. I'm asking you to dive deep into the 200 pages of your book and bring out some compelling numbers that drive home the point that EdTech is indeed an engine for change.
Number one, this 260 million students which you spoke about, right? Every single student would have used an EdTech product at least a couple of times in their education in last few years. Now, how many of them had access to the best of the schools? How many of them had access to even textbooks? How many of them had access to a school in their neighborhood? And you will see the difference there. Right? Number two, good number of universities abroad are now working with Indian EdTech companies to take their global offerings, degree programs online to the entire world. So UpGrad works with US universities to sell it to the world. So you can see the scale we have been able to get to. And that, I think, is the testimony to this sector on how teachers and technologists work together with entrepreneurs to create these mechanisms or these products.
Okay, let's take a break, Arjun. When we return, we're going to do a quick round with you, frequently asked questions on EdTech. Serious business. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching Serious Business on NDTV. I'm Manvi Sinha Dhillon in conversation today with Arjun Mohan, someone who has a deep understanding of India's EdTech sector given his work at BYJU's and UpGrad. Now a quick round of frequently asked questions drawn from the comments that we see on ndtv.com. And I'll get straight to it. These are basic, but they're tough, Arjun. What are the checks and balances in the offering from EdTech majors today that ensures that students are getting continuous value? I know there's a concept called mentorship, but how do you actually specifically at a granular level make sure that students are getting continuous value?
Yeah, so pretty good question. And I think this is what really matters from a consumer perspective, from a parent perspective. So what I would say is that because EdTech is able to provide you a customized solution, you should be first clear what is that one thing the student is missing today. Is it that the pace of learning at school is too much for the student and you need someone to really sit with them, revise, let them clear their doubts and come to that? So is it relearning or reiterating the same thing which you need? Or is it that the kid is exceptionally bright, what you need is a space where the kid can sit and talk to peers, talk to teachers and do a lot of practice exercises to really take their curiosity to the next level. So I think the way you should look at it, that it's no longer one product, there are multiple products. You should really understand what is lacking, what is that product which will really help the student to be successful. This information, along with your understanding of your child, you should be talking to your teachers of the kid at school. They will also be able to give you some real good insight. And then you should look at which all product the companies are providing you and select the best one.
Okay,
this is what I would say.
Okay, that's good sound advice and, comprehensive, because you're also drawing in the assessment of the teacher in the bricks and mortar school. This is another question, sort of the same, Arjun, so bear with me. But, this is a question that says, as a student, whether you're in school, college or a professional, when you're evaluating an EdTech offering, what are some of the things that you should look for? So if Manvi Sinha Dhillon, I'm looking, to upgrade my skills, I look at the options and how do I know? I mean, is there some way of saying these three things must be there?
Yeah. So finally, everyone, we should understand that education is no longer a process when it comes to in EdTech. Like it comes to EdTech, right? I mean, you can say that school system has been around forever, and it has become like part of our life, right? Kids have to go to school. But that's not the same with EdTech, right? EdTech needs to give outcomes. Outcome is what everyone looks for, and you need to pick up something where you think you should get outcome. Let me give an example, and this much better fits when it comes to higher ed. If I am a IT sector employee and I am, let's say, doing testing or a Java developer, one question I always have is that how do I go ahead in my life? This is what it is. I have my expenditure going up. How do I get a better job? How do I increase my package? So one way people look at them is that what is this newer technology which is coming in? Can I get upskilled in the same? Now, the newer technology decision which a student or a learner is taking, it's very, very subjective to that person. What's the outcome and extra growth in my career I can get through this? And that's where it comes to. So all you need to check in EdTech is, number one, is it outcome focused? Number two, does it tackle every form of learner with the personalization provided? And number three, finally, it's about teachers and technology working together as these two parts taken care of. This is what I would say the checklist you should be looking for in anything you should look at in EdTech.
Okay, well, that's questions from NDTV.com. It's back to a question from me and a final question. Why did you write this book, Arjun?
It's an interesting question. So I've been a person involved in EdTech much before EdTech as a term got coined. So I came into this because of my passion for teaching. I always felt that a good learner has to be a good teacher. And that's how I came into this. I met BYJU, and then the story you can see in that book. What I saw was the ups and downs of EdTech in a very short period of time. I saw it being celebrated as the Masiha during the COVID times, because the entire school education was happening on this platform. And immediately after everything was done, it became the bashing boy for everyone. But what I felt is that whatever good or bad, right, there's a lot of work which has gone into this. And for a country like India, an economy like India, it is essential that people see the good parts of it, because if they start going by the narratives, unfortunately, they may completely discount it and not even give it an opportunity today. Which is what I thought, that as an insider, I can tell about what are the good things, the struggles, and why are we today where we are, and what we can look forward from EdTech in future. So that's why I wrote the book.
Well, all the best, and thank you very much for your time here on NDTV Serious Business. I certainly will endorse one basic fact, that online education is part of our lives. COVID, post-COVID, beyond. And that's the value that you get also in reading this book. Arjun Mohan, great talking to you. That's a wrap on Serious Business here on NDTV. Back with another conversation next week, same time.